Yo, so I'm here on my break for work, but I want to talk about an important concept that I've been playing with in my mind for a good while when it comes to productivity and managing lots of things all at the same time. Something I've noticed is that, when it comes to being busy and accomplishing your goals, the problem isn't having to juggle so many things at the same time, because in reality you're not really juggling multiple things at the same time. It never really is like that, and I think that inefficiency comes from trying to do two things at once, in the sense that not knowing, in the sense that you can't really do two things at once. Really, we are only able to focus on one thing at a time. And really, when we're trying to do two things at once, what we're doing is organizing our mind in a way that allows us to sequence the two things interdependently. So being able to juggle, for example, is a beautiful example, because when I'm doing three balls, for example, one hand throws it and the other hand throws another one, and then the next hand gets ready for the first toss. So in reality, it's not me throwing both at the same time, because then I just get fucked up and I'm just gonna be thinking, I'm not gonna have the reaction to do it. If you look at the best jugglers, it's a sequential thing that they're doing. It's sequential, and so that's the first thing to think about when it comes to managing multiple things at the same time. What I'm really talking about here is focus. So the next point that I want to talk about is that will further build upon this concept of sequential organization is the ability to focus on one thing then. And the idea is that when I go throughout my day, I've realized that because I have so many things I've got going on in the background, I have 5 YouTube channels, for example, that I'm working on. I have my child that I'm raising. I have my full-time job. I have many other goals and interests that I'm interested in. And for me to be able to go through my day and not be stressed out, the only way to do it is to trust the fact that the work that I'm putting in the dedicated time that I'm doing the specific work. For example, if I put in a time block of 2 hours for my time, then I have to trust that the result that the work I put in has already been produced. It's done. The work is done, right? And to give an example of this is that we are often thinking about things that we can't control, and we're often thinking about our work. For example, when we're at home, we cannot control what we're doing at work when we're at home. It's not possible. But the thing is, we often find ourselves thinking about our work while we're going throughout the day. And the same thing can be pertaining to my business. For example, with the YouTube channel, if I am worrying about how many views I'm getting on my video, then I'm not focusing on my job, for example. And this ability of focus really also stems from the ability to be able to access the now, to access the present moment, to be present. And this is a super powerful concept for those people who are interested in spirituality at a practical level. If you can, this is what meditation really develops, which is its focus. And the ability to be able to focus on one thing at a deep level allows for the true enhancement of that thing. It allows for true progression. So when you're able to focus on your job, when you're at your job, when you're able to immerse yourself into that and really surrender yourself to that moment, then you truly are acting at the most authentic level and being also the highest level a performance that you can achieve. And the same thing can be said about you working in your business. And the beautiful thing is that the concept is already there, the flow state. That is what the flow state entails. The flow state entails it's the ability to focus on a particular task. And the way to induce the flow state, well, first off, let's describe it. The flow state is entering the zone of harmony with the environment, of harmony with the task at hand. You become one pointed in your mind, where you're able to you become completely immersed in the action, in the activity itself. Being in the zone, people. It's like when you're able to completely immerse yourself, you lose track of time, and it becomes enjoyable. There's this beautiful feeling of fulfillment when you're in there and you're not even thinking about it consciously. You're not thinking, oh my goodness, I'm fulfilled. You're really just engaged in the activity itself. And then you come out of it and you realize, I'm like, wow, I really enjoyed that. That was really fun. So the thing is, really what I'm talking about here is how to create a life that is in perfect flow. And obviously perfection is an ideal, but we have to strive for the ideal. So what I'm saying here is, I also have this other concept, right? So it's going to keep on building on top of the previous two concepts. The first one being about sequential organization, the second one being about focus and flow, and the third one is now going to be about stress. The idea behind the flow state is that the activity has to be at a stress level that is optimal. It can't be too stressful because then you're just gonna be overwhelmed, and it can't be too not so stressful because then you're just gonna be bored. So you have to be at a balance point where you are stressed out enough to be engaged, but not too overwhelmed where you just feel like you can't move or you can't act, you become indecisive, etc. So this is my thing. The thing is that I believe this can work at the microcosmic level and at the macrocosmic level. In the micro, we're really talking about, okay, can you focus on the dance, for example, because I love talking about dance when it comes to the flow state. Can you focus on the dance and be present within the dance, right? And that will induce the flow state. And the pressures really come to how deeply you can connect with your partner, being able to juggle multiple things, not juggle obviously, being able to achieve a great connection with your partner while also achieving a great connection with the music, while also not bumping into the people around you who are also dancing, right? Those are the factors that are involved in the stressful aspect of dance. So that's the microcosmic example. But let's look at the macro. And when I'm talking about the macro, I'm really talking about the day-to-day. Let's not go from minute to minute. Let's talk about the day-to-day. And when I'm talking about the day-to-day, I'm talking about being able to stack multiple activities throughout the day. And this is something that I realized very early on when I was studying in university, which was that I was reading a book, and I think it was called How to Become an A+ Student. It might have been by Cal Newport, most likely. If not, it was another writer. But he was saying that it's not the highest achieving students. They have multiple things going on at the same time. They have many responsibilities, and this is something that I took on, that I took to heart, because he said that he interviewed the top students and that they would have a job, they had multiple clubs, they had school, they had relationships. So they had multiple things that all going on at the same time. Not only was it their classwork, but everything else like with that. They had clubs, they had group outings, they had jobs, they were learning things on the side. So they were not afraid to take on multiple responsibilities. Versus the students who are low performing, they only just had to go to school. And that causes a problem, because he described the problem being that because you have so many things that are stressing you, that are stressors onto you, it forces you to become more disciplined. It forces you to be able to accomplish it, and the mindset is obviously that you can do it. If you didn't think you can do it, if you didn't think you can take on the responsibility, then you wouldn't do it. But the fact that they have the intention to do so lets them achieve it. And that leads to A+ grades. For some reason, there was a correlation between high responsibility and then high achievement. And the same thing can be said about this in life in general. I'm saying that the more responsibility you take on, the easier it becomes for you to be able to basically achieve your goals, perform at a high level. And what I'm talking about here is being able to take on multiple things at the same time. So whether you are a parent, you have a full-time job, you have multiple businesses, you have other interests and passions that you want to pursue, you have a specific discipline that you want to implement to your practice, whether it be fitness, whether it be meditation, whether it be whatever, and you do that, and that will lead to high achievement. And that also leads to peace of mind, because what I've seen from my life has been that you stress out less about the little things, because you have so many things that are in your path. So then this leads to like almost a conscious intention to create boundaries around yourself. So the negative self-talk becomes limited, because first off, it's about the sequential thinking, and if you can't focus on your job at hand because of the negative thoughts you have in your mind, then you recognize that, and so you move forward with the intention to not get there. And then you have the flow state, which is you recognize that, okay, high stress leads to high achievement, or or actually losing yourself, immersing yourself completely in the moment leads to fulfillment. When you have that intention, then you're gonna see your life, you're gonna organize it in a way where like, okay, how can I go through my life and get immersed in each moment? You start practicing that, and so you start honing in. And so when you're in a conversation, you want to be there fully. When you're talking to your wife, you want to be there fully. When you're at work, you want to be there fully. When you're speaking to the camera, you want to be there fully. And then and so those things just build up, and they add themselves incrementally, at an exponential level, I believe. And it leads to high performance, high achievement. It leads to low stress. It leads to also fulfillment, purpose, joy. And the studies are there. People who can achieve the flow state at a consistent pace are the people who are the happiest in the world. And so there's something true to this. There's a truth to this because these concepts lead to fulfillment. They lead to happiness. They lead to joy. So tying it all together, I think that the thing that I want to really put out there is that the more responsibility you take on, the easier things get for some reason. Isn't that crazy to think? And also there's an incentive to wanting to take more on. It leads you to get better at everything that you do. And this is also an incentive to want to take on more interests, pursue more passions. I have another thing that I already kind of mentioned it, but another thing that I wanted to make sure I said in the video was that through the day, for example, I just cut the negative thought out so quickly. I recognize that me talking shit about somebody in my head does not help anybody. If I have a problem, I have to speak to the person. Or if I have an issue in my business, maybe I'm not getting the views that I want, it doesn't matter. Because the process has already, it served its purpose. I shot the video, it's done. And so now we're on to the next thing, and we're on to the next thing, we're on to the next thing. And what does that mean? It means that I'm honing in on something that I can't control. I'm honing in on myself. I'm honing in on my practice. And I realize that that's the only thing that really matters. So, yeah, that's it. That's all I got. Thank you for tuning in. You already know, it's your boy. Stay lucid.